I'm going to tell you why I think the concepts I talk about here are eventually going to tank the pharma industry, the beauty industry, and the gym and exercise industry. I know I'm going to sound crazy. All I can say is I'm a business person. I used to be a strategy consultant, work for BCG. I know a little thing, I consider I know a thing or two about the business world. It's how I spend my entire career. And what I'm saying here, it's not going to happen immediately. It might take many years. But this element of truth around these biomechanics that I think I've uncovered, they predict a future for these industries that I think is not going to be bright. And so today I'm going to explain why. Big pharma is one of the industries that it hasn't really changed since I was a kid. It was big and growing fast and powerful when I was a kid in the US in the 80s and 90s. And now it's even bigger and more powerful. Whereas a lot of other industries got disrupted, manufacturing in the US got destroyed. Pharma's done really well. And in my mind, pharma, the premise it's built on is that pills and these medicines can help you. And the premise that that's built on is that it's not a physics problem, right? Because chemicals cannot fix a physics problem. And that's where I'm at a crossroads with pharma. Because all this money that's being invested in developing these drugs, I think it's only being used, all these drugs are being used to address symptoms. And they never really address root cause. Tell me a drug that truly fixes whatever the problem is forever, right? Usually it's all patches. And if the root cause is physics, it's your skull is collapsed a little bit because of the soft tissue that I talk about, or your spine is a bit mangled and it's compressed organs, and that's causing disease to happen, then how is taking a pill going to fix it, right? It just doesn't make sense from a logical physics standpoint. And I really think that they're going to figure out one day what I feel like I've figured out already, that it's a physics problem. And let me explain a little bit about why I think it's a physics problem. I'm 47, and 4 or 5 years ago, I was in really bad shape. I was using an open bite again in 2020, really damaged myself, couldn't concentrate, felt really unhealthy. And then in mid to late 2021, I had more or less remembered how this stuff works. And yeah, I've gotten better over the last few years, but I've been on a relatively straight line up for the last 3 or 4 years. And during that time, I don't do any exercise. I eat whatever I want. Even late at night, I eat whatever, right? And my body only tightens. I don't take any supplements. I work like crazy. I probably I drop my kid off at school at 7:30 in the morning. I'm working by 8 a.m. and I'm usually working till 10:30, 11 p.m. every day, for a couple of years now. And I work probably about 30% of my weekend. And I don't burn out. I don't even get tired. I'm in a good mood the whole time. And I feel like I'm operating now better than I did when I was 25. Despite the fact that I'm, breaking all of society's rules about exercise and whatnot. I'm 47 years old, so, not many 47-year-olds can say what I'm saying. And not only that, but I haven't gotten sick this entire time. I've found it impossible to get sick. During COVID, my wife had it. My kid kind of had it for a little while. I changed nothing about what I did, and I didn't get sick, right? None of that, but I was the person that, we live in Bangkok. I probably was in the last 1% in terms of wearing a mask and protecting myself. I did nothing. You'd have to force me to wear that damn mask because I just didn't want to wear it, and I didn't think anything could happen to me. And I'm literally the only person I know out of everyone I know here that didn't get sick with COVID once. And I probably had 2 or 3 times the risk in terms of my exposure because I just didn't care. I wasn't even healthy. I was just coming back. But I feel the way it works is as you come back with this stuff, your immune system is not fighting. It's actually getting more support. And so even though in 2021, 2022, when COVID was still a thing, I wasn't completely healthy, it was that I feel I was taking the burden off my immune system by what I was doing. And therefore, it was easily able to fight other things. Whereas I think the people that get COVID, they might even look and function at that time healthier than me, but their immune system has a burden on it, right? Which is these biomechanics were getting worse. Whereas on me, they were getting better. At least that is kind of innately what I felt. And to this day, I was in New York over Christmas, extreme temperature change. I didn't even wear a coat, and I was freezing one day because I didn't have a proper winter coat. And I just knew, okay, I'm Teflon. I cannot get sick. I've tried and I cannot get sick. And like I was in New York for 2 weeks, temperature change up and down. I had a shitty winter coat. Like I just couldn't get sick. So my view is that a physics problem can only be solved with physics. I view this problem as your skull collapsing in, the soft tissue basically like deflating, crushing your skull crushes the brain, neck gets mangled, spine, everything twists, every single joint, every single limb in your body gets twisted, right? So you're this big twisted object. You can almost visualize it. And my process basically untwists the whole thing. If you view the problem like that, and then you look at it from a lens of exercise or pharmaceuticals, it just doesn't make sense. Like if you took a twisted object and then you applied a lot of force on it, what would happen? You would get more twisted. That's physics. If you took a twisted physical object and you splashed it with a bunch of like chemicals and supplements, like what's going to happen? Nothing. So that's how I view that. And I think in time, more and more people figure out what I'm saying to be true, and they start using these biomechanics. They're pretty easy to use, right? I do it a bit faster, but all you have to do is raise the height of your teeth and keep them flat. I'm pretty sure everyone that does that will age. And it's not long, right? Once you see that blow up, I think you're going to start to see pharma really take a hit, because people aren't going to need all these pills and medicines that they're creating. And so when you play that out for decades, like 2-3 decades from now, like I am absolutely sure in 30 years, pharma will be a small fraction of what it is today, right? I would take a 30-year bet against someone. Another industry I like to talk about is beauty. In my view, beauty has nothing to do with genetics. We are all symmetrical. Beauty is essentially symmetry, right? Like I have never seen a person that was well developed from, like all the bones are in the right place, that was not beautiful. Like they're one and the same. I have been to 90 plus countries. The only time I can say where someone had perfect structure and yet they were not beautiful, where, there are some like Aborigine tribes and things where, that's more of a cultural thing. Like I may not find them beautiful, but someone else finds them beautiful. Other than that, like any country I have been to, and I've been to 90 plus, structure equals beauty, period. Anytime like their skull was correctly, everything was in the right space, like they were beautiful. And I know how to look at this stuff. If you take what I'm saying as potentially true, that you can put everything back into the right spot by using these biomechanics, although it's, relatively slow, you can start to understand where people are going to understand like, okay, like this entire beauty industry is bullshit, right? Like I'm going to have better skin than any 47, 48, 50-year-old, and I'll predict that I know by a landslide. And I have never spent a dime on any kind of skincare. Right? Like my brother works in Estee Lauder. Like once this stuff gets better known, like I consider the future of that company doomed. I think beauty industry, once people start figuring this stuff out, is going to take a massive hit. And I think gyms, like I think the whole concept of a gym is almost going to be a relic, like a VCR. Like people in 30, 50 years, there's going to be no gyms pretty much, because people are going to realize, wow, I can have a perfect body and I don't need to go to the gym, right? Like maybe some light exercise is good sometimes, but they're going to realize, wow, I can be completely healthy and not go to a gym at all. And I don't really need exercise. Like I am going to achieve, like for me, you'll see, and it's going to take some more months, but I'm going to achieve a perfect body at 47, doing no exercise and eating crap. And I'm going to document. I am documenting this entire journey so that when you see it at the end, you'll see. I'm having people observe. I make sure that I do not do any exercise so that they can see I'm not doing exercise, right? I'm eating crap. So that at the end, I can say that honestly, like I didn't do exercise, I ate crap, and you'll see where I finish. I think things like gyms are just going to disappear. People might do light exercise, but they're just going to realize like you don't need to do exercise to be extremely healthy and beautiful. Thanks.